In this video, I'm going to talk about how to have a difficult conversation in an online setting, and I'm going to do it by using an example of one of my own difficult conversations that I had with a person in an online setting. Hi everybody, this is Bruce Lambert from HowCommunicationWorks.com. This is a channel where I teach you about communication skills so you can improve your relationships, succeed at work, be more confident, and lead a fuller, more satisfying life. One situation which almost all of us encounter now is having to have difficult conversations, not in person, but in online settings, either in an online comment section or on Twitter or on Facebook or on Snapchat or on Instagram or via email, or in my case, on Upwork, the site for freelancers. I was trying to hire somebody to do a project on Upwork, and I got into a very difficult conversation, and I want to show you how it went. It didn't go perfectly. I'm going to critique some of my own communication. There are things I think I could have done better, but it didn't go horribly, and I thought it would be useful just to see what I did when I wasn't trying to be a teacher, when I was just spontaneously interacting with someone online in a difficult situation. So let me set the context for you. I was trying to hire a freelancer to do a development project for me, a software development project for me, and I'm not that experienced hiring people to do this kind of project. I'm not that experienced on the online platform Upwork. It's really just like any other platform for hiring freelancers. But in my case, I have to confess, I made a mistake. I have a big project I need someone to do. So I was asking these freelancers to do about an hour of work on my project as a sample and send me that, as I would say, on spec at their own financial risk. Little did I know this was a violation of the Upwork terms of service, and I guess there's certain kinds of scams where freelancers are asked to do this kind of work, and then people ask one or two freelancers to do an hour or so of work for free, and they get the whole project done for free. So I can understand how some of these freelancers would feel taken advantage of, and this particular freelancer felt extremely taken advantage of, and I think reacted in an unprofessional way, calling me names and all sorts of stuff. So I'm just going to show you a bunch of screenshots from the actual conversation that we had. I'll read them to you and then we'll comment on how things went. So I'm going to put these images up on the screen now and you guys can follow along as I shrink in the corner and read through the comments. So here I start. I say, I've identified several qualified applicants and would now like to request an example of your work on my project, and I give a link for details. Say, if you plan to produce an example of your work, please let me know. If not, thank you very much for your time. Signed, Bruce. And then this person writes back, I'm not sure what you mean. Are you asking for me to produce something from this document for you? And so here I'm thinking, okay, maybe I just wasn't clear and I need to clarify. So here the conversation continues. I'm asking for a sample lesson based on the materials included in the document, 2 videos, the quiz, the ancillary materials. Did you have a chance to read the instructions in that document? I tried to make it as clear as possible, but apparently I did not succeed. So here I'm thinking I just made a mistake in specifying the project, and after a little clarification, everything's going to be fine. Little did I know. Here she starts to get a little angry. Oh, you succeeded very well. I just wanted to make sure there was no misunderstanding. Your request is a violation of the terms of service of Upwork and is classified as asking for free work. This is an old scam of several varieties. Some clients ask for free work from several freelancers and get their entire project done. Some clients ask for free work from an expert designer and then have the entire project created by an inferior but cheaper designer. If anyone actually complies with this request, then not only are you in violation of the terms of service, the freelancer who does the free work is in violation as well. So here I'm a little worried and freaked out and think I did something wrong. Well, I did not know that. And that was certainly not my intention. So remember, I talk in my videos about tell people what your intentions are. So my intention was to get a sample of work from qualified candidates before making a large investment and a big business decision. And here the person responds, but without question or doubt at this point, you are in violation of the terms of service and you sound like a jerk to boot. So now the name calling has started. And I don't think this is professional. This is someone who I was thinking about hiring. This is actually someone who I did a phone interview with. So I knew this person. We had like a 30-minute telephone interview. She was very reasonable. I thought she was qualified. I was interested in hiring her. I thought she was actually the leading candidate. And now because I've made this mistake, she's starting to call me names. And I don't think I've done anything in this dialogue to justify the name calling, but she goes to that. But without question or doubt at this point, you are in violation of the terms of service and you sound like a jerk to boot. And so I go on. The truth is I had interviewed someone else who suggested I do this, who suggested I get a sample of work before I make the big contract. So I say this strategy was actually suggested to me by another Upwork freelancer. But at this point, my freelance colleague is not having any of it. She says, So you say, and was acting like a jerk suggested to you, or does that come naturally? Seems like the two go hand in hand. So she's giving no quarter here. She's just not interested in the dialogue, and I'm upset at this point when I'm writing this. I'm feeling, oh man, I've really done something wrong and bad, and I've violated the terms of service, and maybe I am acting like a jerk, but I'm trying to stay reasonable. So I say, again, I'm trying not to take the bait. I basically ignore this stuff about me being a jerk. The name calling thing, it doesn't help if I start calling her names too. I'm trying to maintain my professionalism and so on. So I say, again, I guess this shows my naivete at Upwork more than my malevolent intentions. You can consider the request withdrawn. So I'm trying to say, basically, sorry, I withdraw this request. I didn't know I shouldn't have asked for free work. And then she says, go away before I report you. And if anyone is working for you for free, then they are in violation. I can consider anything I want. Do you really think I would actually work for you? So I guess at this point, no, she's probably not going to work for me. I'm not going to hire her, and she's not going to accept my work. I say her name and say, I'm a bit surprised by the harshness of your response, which I was. I thought she was freaking out, and I didn't think it merited this level of response. I enjoyed talking with you by phone, and I really regret the turn this has taken. So again, I'm trying to maintain my reasonableness. Please accept my apologies. So I think I've been in the wrong by asking for free work. And even though she's called me a jerk and so on, I think, okay, I'm going to apologize. And maybe this will, quiet the conversation back down. I'm sure you are surprised. When you decide to exploit someone, typically you've already made up your mind that they are exploitable. That always comes as a shock. You are violating the Upwork terms of service, all caps. You are asking for free work, all caps. Freelancers are not here to be your little slaves. So, this person had been probably wronged on Upwork before and was quite sensitive about the possibility of it happening again. And I just walked into a minefield here, and I'm trying to extract myself from this situation with our dignity intact. So I say, I'm an entrepreneur also. I had no intention to exploit you, and I have apologized. I seem to have hit a nerve in a way I did not anticipate. Please reflect on our conversation, where I hope you could gather that I was not intent on exploiting anyone. So I was thinking, think back on our conversation, our half-hour phone interview where we seemed to connect and have common goals and so on. I'm thinking maybe you'll give me the benefit of the doubt, but it's too late for that. I think if I critique myself here, I have not used a sufficient amount of empathy. I could have named her feelings here. I do say I seem to have hit a nerve in the way I did not anticipate, but I could have said something like, it seems like you think I'm exploiting you, or you're very, very upset and I'm not sure why. It may or may not have worked. Empathy doesn't always work. I made another video about, empathy doesn't solve every problem. Sometimes people are just intent on being angry and there's no magic words to fix it. I'll link to that video where I show that, reflective listening doesn't solve every problem that you have. So I end this sequence. She says, you had very unrealistic expectations when we spoke. You were offering like $1 a slide, which is not true at all. She's just making up stuff by this point. Now you want free work. You are just way out of your league. Well, maybe so. Maybe you should do your own work. And here's the final. There's actually one more turn in this conversation that had some details I didn't want to share online. It says, but it wasn't any worse than what I've already showed you. I said, okay, I appreciate the feedback, and we'll end this conversation now. I just, sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. You just have to get out of a situation because there's nothing you can do. So I said, okay, I appreciate the feedback. I'll end this conversation. Now, there was one more turn where she basically printed the entire offer I had sent to her and said, this is asking for free work, but I didn't want to print all the details of that offer out for you guys to see. It didn't add to the conversation. Reflecting on it, what do I think? I'm happy about how I reacted. In one sense, I did not take the bait and get inflamed and say anything that I would really regret. So I've showed you everything that I said here. I think I kept my composure. I tried on multiple occasions to turn down the volume. I explicitly apologized. I tried to clarify my intentions. So these are all the tools that I try to teach you guys in handling difficult conversations. She was having none of it. She had decided that I was a jerk who wanted to exploit her, and there's really nothing I could say or do to change her mind. I can say that I'm grateful to her for revealing herself to me because I did not want to, after this interaction, I'm glad I didn't hire her. I'm glad this didn't happen in the middle of a high-stakes project that I had contracted her for. I regret asking for free work. I regret violating the terms of service of Upwork. It wasn't a good idea. From my point of view, it was an honest mistake that I tried to apologize for and retract as soon as I realized I made it. What are the larger lessons? Try to stay calm. In an online situation, you can't see the other person. There isn't enough bandwidth, posture, gesture, facial expression, tone of voice, rate, pitch, and volume, all these other nonverbal signals that can communicate where we're at emotionally, what our intentions are. Instead, online, people just make inferences based on very little information and based on very narrow bandwidth information, in this case, just some text and no other context, even though we had had a prior conversation. And I made all these attempts to repair, and they just weren't taken up. And I did like 2 or 3 times I tried to repair. I apologized more than one time. I expressed regret, and I tried to remind her of my intentions. It just wasn't working. So I think one of the takeaway lessons is you just have to cut your losses sometimes. And that's what I did in this final turn. I said, okay, I appreciate the feedback and we'll end this conversation now. I didn't want to interact with this person anymore. It didn't seem fruitful. She was just hurling insults and invective, and I didn't want to be the punching bag. So I just ended. And I think in real life, that's not a bad call either. There are sometimes you can't win these battles with communication. There's nothing magical you can say with someone who isn't kind of engaging in rational discourse. A lot of what I talk about on this channel assumes a certain level of rationality and cooperation and mutual goodwill, but not every conversation is characterized by rationality, cooperation, and mutual goodwill. And when it's not, you have to try your best, and then if you have to extract yourself from the situation. In healthcare, I teach people that if they're in a very difficult conversation and the family is really irate and really upset and insulting them, maybe using profanity, attacking them, and maybe even on the verge of violence, you just have to tell them, it seems like now is not a good time to have this conversation. Let's reschedule this meeting when everyone has had a chance to cool down some. And that's what I was trying to do here, although in this case I have no intention of having a further conversation with this individual, though I wish her well. I wish her no ill will. I think she probably is a good designer and developer. I'm just sorry it worked out this way. So there you have it. As I've said many times on this channel, everything that I try to teach you about, every bad communication behavior that I try to tell you not to do, I myself have done. And when I'm trying to teach you, I'm trying to teach myself how to be a better communicator. In this case, I think I did okay. I probably could have been more empathic, but overall, I'm not ashamed of myself and how I behaved in this situation. Not super proud, but I think I acquitted myself okay. And maybe this will humanize me and show you that I'm an imperfect communicator also, and you can learn something from how I had this dialogue. Thanks so much for watching. As usual, if you haven't met me before, we'd be really grateful if you would hit that subscribe and like button, share it with your friends if you like this kind of video. Go on over to howcommunicationworks.com. Give us your email address. We'll send you an empathy ebook, which will teach you lots of principles for having difficult conversations and respecting other people's feelings and improving your own personal and professional relationships. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.